Welcome back, everybody. Today we're doing a deep dive into modular smart factories.
Right.
When I first heard about factories popping up in shipping containers, I thought it was like a sci-fi movie or something.
Yeah.
But the more I dug into all the sources you sent over,
Yeah.
the more I realized this is actually happening right now.
Yeah.
And this could completely change how we make things.
Yeah. It's really fascinating. We're not talking about like a minor upgrade or anything.
Right.
This is like a potential paradigm shift for manufacturing.
Yeah.
And it's driven by all this cutting-edge technology coming together.
Okay, so let's get into the details.
Sure.
Your notes mentioned all kinds of different technologies. 3D printing, pinch metal forming, laser cutting.
Right.
Even robots working alongside humans.
Yeah.
I mean, what stood out to you as the most game-changing tech in these factories?
I think one of the most impactful technologies is additive manufacturing.
Okay.
Or 3D printing, as most people know it.
Right.
Being able to create those complex parts, layer by layer, using only the material that's needed, has huge implications for efficiency and reducing waste.
Yeah.
Imagine printing a working engine component on demand right there in the factory without any material waste.
Wow.
I mean, that's a level of precision and sustainability that you just can't get with traditional manufacturing.
Absolutely. And I was reading an article
about
a company using 3D printing to create custom prosthetic limbs.
Oh, wow.
It can scan a patient's body, print a perfectly fitted prosthetic, all within a few hours.
That's amazing.
I mean, that kind of personalized production was unheard of just a few years ago.
Totally. And that's just the beginning.
Right.
Think about like on-site tool fabrication.
Okay.
A worker could design a specialized tool on a computer and then just print it out right there in the factory.
Wow.
It saves so much time.
Yeah.
And you don't need to rely on outside suppliers.
That's incredible. But speaking of robots, I gotta admit, the idea of robots and humans working side by side still feels a little futuristic to me.
Sure.
Is that actually happening now?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Collaborative robots or cobots, they're designed to work safely and efficiently.
Yeah.
Right alongside human workers.
Okay.
They can handle the repetitive tasks or the really physically demanding stuff.
Right.
And that frees up the human workers.
Makes sense.
To focus on the more complex and creative parts of the job.
So it's not about robots replacing humans, but robots augmenting human capabilities.
Exactly.
I can see how that could lead to a more efficient workforce.
Absolutely. And these cobots aren't just mindless machines.
Right.
They're equipped with advanced sensors and AI algorithms.
Okay.
So they can learn and adapt to their environment.
Wow. So now that we've unpacked some of these technologies, let's talk about the modular part. Why are these factories being built in shipping containers?
Right.
And what are the advantages to that approach?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
That gets to the heart of what makes these factories so revolutionary.
Okay.
The modular design has several key advantages.
Okay.
Firstly, it allows for incredible mobility.
Okay.
I mean, these factories can be shipped anywhere in the world.
Wow.
By land or sea, and set up so quickly.
Really?
This is really valuable in disaster relief situations.
Right.
Where a fast response is critical.
I haven't even thought about that.
Yeah.
Being able to deploy a fully functioning factory to a disaster zone in just a few days could be a game changer for providing goods and services to people in need.
Absolutely. And then there's the scalability factor.
Okay.
If a company needs to increase production, they can simply add more modules.
Oh, wow.
It's like building with Legos.
Huh.
You can configure the factory to fit your exact needs.
Okay.
And adjust it as those needs change.
That's incredibly efficient.
Yeah.
It reminds me of how some companies use modular data centers. To scale their computing power, they can just add or remove server modules as needed.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Same principle applies to manufacturing.
Okay.
This modularity makes companies much more agile and responsive to market fluctuations or sudden changes in demand.
So instead of being stuck with a massive inflexible factory, companies can adjust their production on the fly.
Exactly.
I can see how that could be a major advantage in today's world.
Absolutely. And this flexibility goes beyond just scaling up or down.
Okay.
Modular factories allow for much greater customization.
Okay.
Different modules can be swapped in and out to produce different products. So companies can quickly adapt to market demands or even personalized production for individual customers.
It's like having a Swiss Army knife with manufacturing capabilities.
Right.
But this all sounds pretty high-tech. What about the cost?
Right.
Is this even feasible for smaller companies to use this technology?
Yeah, that's a valid concern. And cost is definitely a factor.
Right.
However, it's important to look at the big picture.
Okay.
While the initial investment for a modular factory can be significant,
Yeah.
there are some substantial long-term cost savings.
Oh, really? Can you give me an example?
Sure.
Like what kind of savings?
Well, for starters, think about transportation costs.
Okay.
A company using a modular factory can locate their production much closer to their customers,
Right.
which significantly reduces shipping costs and lead times.
That makes sense.
This can be a major competitive advantage,
Yeah.
especially as consumers are demanding faster delivery and more personalized products.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
If you can make goods locally, you cut out the need to ship them across the country or even across the world.
Exactly.
That saves fuel costs,
Right.
reduces carbon emissions,
Yeah.
and potentially gets products to customers faster.
Precisely. And the cost savings go beyond just transportation.
Okay.
Modular factories are designed for maximum efficiency. They incorporate AI-powered systems that optimize energy consumption,
Right.
reduce material waste,
Yeah.
and minimize downtime.
So these factories are not only good for business,
Right.
but also good for the environment.
Absolutely.
Is sustainability a major driver behind using this technology?
Sustainability is definitely a key factor.
Okay.
The environmental benefits of local manufacturing are significant.
Yeah.
By reducing transportation distances, we can lower greenhouse gas emissions
Right.
and lessen our impact on the planet.
And the efficient use of resources within the factory itself
Yeah.
also contributes to a more sustainable approach.
Yeah.
It's encouraging to see that technological innovation can go hand in hand with environmental responsibility.
Absolutely. And as renewable energy sources become more common
Yeah.
and affordable,
Right.
we can imagine these modular factories
Yeah.
being powered completely by solar or wind energy,
Wow.
which would further reduce their environmental impact.
That's incredible. So we've talked about these amazing environmental benefits, but
Yeah.
what about the broader economic implications?
Right.
It's amazing to think
Uh-huh.
we could be on the verge of a manufacturing revolution
Yeah.
where factories are as agile and adaptable as the products they're making.
Right.
It seems like this tech could disrupt traditional supply chains
Yeah.
and empower a whole new wave of entrepreneurs and innovators.
Definitely.
But you mentioned personalized products a minute ago.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know more about how that works.
Sure.
How do modular factories actually let you create products tailored to individual needs?
That's where on-demand manufacturing comes in.
Okay.
Imagine you want to order a custom piece of furniture,
Okay.
say a dining room table,
Right.
with specific dimensions and design elements to fit your space perfectly.
Yeah.
Instead of going to a furniture store and choosing from limited options,
Uh-huh.
you could design your dream table on a computer
Wow.
using 3D modeling software.
Okay.
You pick the type of wood, the finish, the lay stone, everything.
Yeah.
Then that design gets sent to a local modular factory
Okay.
where it's made on demand
Wow.
using 3D printing, CNC machining, and robotic assembly.
So instead of mass producing thousands of the same table,
Right.
they're making a unique piece just for me based on my specifications.
Exactly.
It's like having my own personal furniture maker.
Yeah.
I guess that could apply to almost any product, not just furniture.
Absolutely. Think about clothes.
Okay.
Instead of buying off-the-rack clothes that may not fit right,
Yeah.
you could get garments custom tailored to your measurements.
Oh, wow.
With personalized designs and fabrics.
That's amazing. Or how about shoes?
Yeah.
Designed specifically for your foot shape and gait.
Exactly.
For maximum comfort and support.
Right.
This level of personalization is mind-blowing.
It is.
I can see this changing entire industries.
Yeah.
But let's zoom out for a minute
Okay.
and think about the bigger economic implications.
Right.
You mentioned localized manufacturing before.
Uh-huh.
What kind of impact could this shift have on the global economy?
Well, one possible outcome is a move away from centralized manufacturing.
Okay.
That's been the dominant model for decades.
Right.
Instead of depending on massive factories in a few locations,
Uh-huh.
we could see a more distributed network of smaller, more agile manufacturing hubs
Okay.
spread out across the world,
Yeah.
closer to the consumers.
So instead of products traveling thousands of miles from a factory in, say, China to a store in Europe,
Yeah,
they could be made right there in the local community.
exactly.
That would cut down on transportation costs and lead times.
For sure. And it could also lead to more localized supply chains,
Okay.
where companies get their materials and components
Yeah.
from nearby suppliers,
Okay.
which further reduces transportation needs
Right.
and boosts regional economic development.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Instead of relying on this global network of suppliers,
Uh-huh.
companies could work with local businesses,
Right.
which creates a more resilient and sustainable economic ecosystem.
Exactly. And this shift toward local manufacturing
Yeah.
could also give smaller businesses and entrepreneurs a chance to compete.
Okay.
Modular factories have lower barriers to entry,
Right.
which could empower a new generation of innovators
Interesting.
and disrupt those traditional industry structures.
That's exciting to think about.
Yeah,
This tech could unlock so much competition and innovation.
it could.
But what about the existing workforce?
Yeah.
There's always this worry about automation leading to job losses.
Right.
How do we make sure workers aren't left behind as we move towards a more automated manufacturing landscape?
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And we need to address it head on.
Okay.
While some traditional manufacturing jobs might be lost,
Right.
modular factories will create new opportunities in things like software development, robotics, engineering, AI management,
Right.
and advanced maintenance.
I see.
The key is investing in education and training programs
Yeah.
to give workers the skills they'll need
Right.
to thrive in this new era.
So it's not just about making new jobs,
Right.
but preparing people for the jobs of the future.
Exactly.
That probably means changing how we approach education and workforce development.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll see more partnerships between industry and schools
definitely.
to make sure the curriculum matches what employers need.
Absolutely. We need to encourage a culture of lifelong learning
Yeah.
where workers are always upskilling and adapting
Right.
to the changing workplace.
Governments will probably need to step in too
Uh-huh.
and provide support and resources for workers who are
Yeah.
switching to new careers.
For sure.
This tech could create a more equitable and sustainable economy,
It could.
but only if we manage the transition carefully and responsible.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
It's not just about using new technology.
Right.
It's about making sure everyone benefits
Exactly.
and that no one gets left behind.
This leads to something else I've been thinking about.
Okay.
We've been discussing the economic and environmental advantages.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the geopolitical side of this?
Right.
Could modular factories shift the global balance of power?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
And one that's worth exploring more.
Okay.
Being able to make essential goods locally
Yeah.
could reduce reliance on those global supply chains,
Right.
giving countries more control over their own production
Makes sense.
and less vulnerability to disruptions.
So instead of relying on a few manufacturing giants for important goods,
Yeah,
countries could become more self-sufficient.
exactly.
That could have a huge impact on international trade and political alliances.
For sure, it could even lead to a multipolar world
Oh, wow.
where economic power is more evenly distributed.
But like with any big tech shift,
Right.
there are potential risks and challenges to think about.
Of course.
For example, widespread use of modular factories
Uh-huh.
could lead to more competition for resources.
Yeah,
And maybe even make existing geopolitical tensions worse.
that's possible.
It sounds like this technology could really reshape the world.
It could.
For better or worse.
Yeah,
We've covered so much in this segment.
we have.
From personalized production to a more localized and sustainable economy.
Right.
But there's still a lot to unpack,
Uh-huh.
especially when it comes to how this tech will affect society.
Yeah.
What will this mean for our communities, our workforce, and our relationship with the things we make and use?
It's a big question.
You know, as we dig deeper into this world of modular smart factories,
Mm-hmm.
I'm struck by how much potential there is.
Yeah.
Not just for economic and geopolitical changes,
Yeah.
but for real cultural change, too.
Absolutely.
We've talked about personalized production and local manufacturing.
Uh-huh.
But what really excites me is democratizing access to this technology.
It's a powerful idea, for sure.
Yeah, imagine a world where communities, entrepreneurs, even students
Right.
have the tools to design and create solutions for their own needs.
It's about empowering people to become makers and innovators,
Yeah.
not just consumers.
It's like putting the power of a factory in everyone's hands.
Yeah.
What kind of impact could that have on our communities?
Well, it could lead to like a resurgence of local craftsmanship
Okay.
and innovation.
Yeah.
Think about a network of makerspaces,
Uh-huh.
each one with a modular smart factory inside,
Wow.
where people can work together, experiment, and bring their ideas to life.
That's awesome. We could see a boom in small-scale, hyperlocal manufacturing.
Right.
Where goods are made specifically for the needs of that community.
Exactly.
So instead of depending on huge corporations
Right.
to make everything we need,
Right.
we could have local artisans and entrepreneurs creating custom products
Yeah.
tailored to what their community wants.
That's the idea.
That could lead to a way more diverse and vibrant marketplace.
Absolutely. And it's not just about making physical things either.
Right.
These makerspaces could also become centers for education and skills development.
Well, that's interesting.
Imagine schools using modular smart factories in their classes.
Yeah.
Giving students real hands-on experience with the latest tech.
That would be amazing.
And helping to create a whole new generation of creators and problem solvers.
That's a fantastic idea. Instead of just reading about tech in textbooks, students could actually design and build things. Right. Learning by doing is way more engaging and effective.
Totally. And it's not just about technical skills.
Okay.
This kind of hands-on learning also encourages creativity, collaboration, and critical thinking skills.
Which are all super important.
In any field.
I can already see these makerspaces becoming community hubs, bringing people together to learn, create, and build a better future.
It's a really inspiring vision.
But with any powerful technology,
right,
there are always potential downsides to think about.
Of course.
Are there any ethical concerns we should consider?
Yeah.
As these factories become more common?
Definitely. I think with any new technology, we need to be careful and think ahead.
Right.
One concern is misuse or people with bad intentions.
Okay.
We need strong security measures and ethical guidelines in place to prevent these factories from being used to make counterfeit goods or dangerous products or even weapons.
It's like giving someone a powerful tool without teaching them how to use it responsibly.
Exactly. We have to make sure this technology is used for good, not to cause harm.
Another thing to consider is potential job losses.
Right.
We've talked about the new jobs that will be created.
Yeah.
But we also have to think about the impact on workers in those traditional manufacturing roles.
It's a balancing act for sure.
And how do we make sure workers have access to training and resources so they can adapt to the changing job market?
We need to be proactive about addressing these challenges. And make sure the benefits of this tech are shared fairly.
Exactly.
And that no one gets left behind.
You know, it's been amazing exploring all this with you.
It has been fascinating.
From the global economic impact to how this could empower local communities.
Yeah.
It seems like we're on the edge of a huge technological shift.
It really does.
One that could completely change how we live, work, and interact with the world.
Absolutely.
It's definitely an exciting time to be watching this happen.
It is.
And I can't wait to see how this tech develops.
Me too.
And shapes our future in the coming years.
It'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Well, that's all the time we have for today.
All right. Yeah.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and a big thanks to you for joining me on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a really thought-provoking conversation.
It has.
And I hope it's made you curious to learn more about this amazing tech and how it could help create a more sustainable, equitable, and innovative world.
Absolutely.